All the good stuff.
Oh, there you
Okay. All righty. So we're really on, right? Really?
You are on.
We're live for 10 seconds now.
What you have missed.
Oh.
What you have missed is Joe Hosh saying, if I was ever going to move again, perhaps a freaky tiki in Florida. Which,
That way.
yeah, I know. We're always like, there we go. I did it right.
South.
And
either way.
just for anybody watching, this is not a virtual background. It is my real background.
Yes. Yes.
So that's real sweat. That's real sweat. And
It's gonna be real sweat coming down.
Oh, yes. It's only July in Florida, but Joe is in a more temperate area.
Yeah. In the Milwaukee, Wisconsin area. My pool is looking good today, though. It is a little humid. I think today it's 72% humidity. So that's not quite freaky Tikiville, but if it were 10 degrees warmer, I'd be sweating too.
Steve Berger is saying
about those
hi.
70%, 75% or humidity and about 95 degrees. So I don't know why, for some reason in Tampa, I've never heard them talk about the heat index or the real feel temperatures. And all of a sudden, ever since I've been saying that, like when everybody else up north was getting warm and hot and, they were saying what feels like temperatures are. And I'm like, I always heard that when I lived up in the Chicago area and New York. But now it's like all of a sudden on the weather channels, they're all saying it's going to feel like 108 out there today.
It's going to feel like,
Yeah. So it's not like Arizona. It's not a dry heat by any means.
Definitely not. I lived in Vegas for a little while, and I remember specifically this memory of them saying, we're going to have high humidities. It's going to be in the double digits.
Oh.
Yeah, I remember we were in Washington, D.C. in August, and it was 90 and 90. And when you get out of the shower, you just have to pick a time to stop using the towel because you're not going to dry off.
Cold showers only. Steve Berger, he's checking in from Atlanta. So we've got Milwaukee, we've got somewhere in Florida, and he's in Atlanta, Georgia. So he's probably experiencing something similar to Tim.
I've got news about Atlanta, Georgia. I'll share when it's my turn or when we roll into that.
Please butt in.
Butt in.
Hey, you're taking one of my colorectal cancer jokes now.
Colorectal. Butt in. Oh my goodness! I'm
actually, I'm going to turn around so you can see my shirt really quick, the back of my shirt. So
yes.
And I'll say while you're doing that, I'm going to say Roger's joined us in the backstage. He's in the green room. We're just waiting for his camera and microphone to connect.
Oh, fantastic!
And Roger, there's the little gear, the settings at the bottom. If you click that can find your camera and microphone.
Make sure he's got a hat ready.
There could be someone watching who's going, D. Scott Smith, he's been on an episode. I remember because he actually has an account that allows him to go live on Amazon. And since we both wrote books that are available on Amazon, he goes, well, how about if this upcoming Wednesday, we just do simultaneously live and talk about why and what the books are about and everything. So you have been my guest.
That was a fun episode.
Yeah.
But this is episode 100. And by the way, I just want to tell everybody this is a moment to celebrate. So congratulations.
Yeah. And Joe Hosh, when he gets out from under the desk, shy.
Well, celebrating. Sorry.
Woo! Oh. Okay.
Did it get something to celebrate? I don't know. This thing, does it ever work? Can you hear that? Sorry.
There you go.
That's awesome.
There's your 100. Congratulations.
Woo, woo. All righty. This one I wear most often when I'm walking the dog. People know I'm coming. In fact, I was helping at an Easter egg hunt, and Easter egg hunt with hundreds of people in the community. And I saw a child running, and I did not see an adult running after the child, very tiny. And so I became the hat lady. Find the hat lady. She knows, you know, she's keeping tabs on this little one. I kept saying, is anybody a big brother or a big sister? So I was the hat lady. So it works for now. Joe, what did you want to tell us?
I guess I might have to switch hats then again, but well, anyway. So I do wear, you know, when I saw your topic of wearing different hats, I'm all for it. I wear it. This happens to be one of my favorite world championship teams, the Green Bay Packers. You may have heard of them. They live up the block here, but I look forward to seeing them this year.
No.
And I'm very excited because I have tickets that are like from my great uncle, so that go back for a while. And this is the first season that we've got 3 regular season games, and we've got 3 division opponents in it. So I get to see the Bears, the Chicago Bears, the Detroit Lions, the ones who should have been going to the Super Bowl rather than the San Francisco 49ers, but who's our other? Oh, the Minnesota Vikings. So excited about this football season. We should be good. So any of you out there who care about football, yippee. I'm excited. So
you're brutal. And I'm always making mistakes. I'm like, Roll Tide. Do you ever play against them? No, because they're probably college.
We will. Actually, the Wisconsin Badgers are playing Alabama this year. So
Alabama. Roll Tide.
There you go. Roll Tide. I say that when we're not playing each other, but I'm sad that Saban's gone because I think that's sort of tragic for the sport. But
well, I know this isn't a football show, but
it's going.
There's always changes, and I think the portal and the NIL, name, image, and likeness, which is fine. I think the athletes should be compensated.
Yeah.
But the NIL and the portal have just changed the game, and I think Saban said, "You know what? I'll let you guys handle that."
Yeah.
So I should put down Nick Saban as someone to contact and ask him to come on to Aspects of Aging, and just, you know, let him go. You know what? I actually want to turn a corner. You know, everyone thinks I'm all about football, but I do have one other thing I love doing, or, you know, whatever. So I'll see. Someday I will have someone who is, you know, like of notoriety in a more general. People recognize your face and your name immediately.
Okay, bye. We're leaving. We'll go to our own show.
I was going to say, however,
that's right.
I have started with the best because, Joe, I got to tell you about
recovery. We're in recovery mode.
Yes. So, hey, wait a minute. Somebody else is waiting in the green room. Are they able to get in yet?
No.
Okay, not yet. Maybe they can go out, come back in, whatever. You can
He's working on it, I think.
I can get us back on track, back off track if you want.
Oh, yay. The hats keep going.
The segue was Atlanta, right? So for anybody out there, Fotavia is what I'm doing for you can see it below here. So we make short documentaries, 2-minute long documentaries about the Life Picture Collection mainly, and then many other stories. So they work really well to create intergenerational conversations. We're reminisce with relevance. So we work in senior living. We started in hospitality. We still dabble in that, but senior living, memory care, that's been the focus the last 8+ years for me. We started 10 years ago, roughly. And so in the last 10 years, I've met a lot of amazing people. And one was from Milwaukee who actually just moved to Atlanta with her husband. So it's tragic that we're lost there. Her name is Ann Basting, and she has a company called Time Slips. And a few years ago, 2016, she won a MacArthur Foundation Award. She's won a Genius Award. She is a genius. So Milwaukee recently lost a brilliant person, but Atlanta gained one. So I'll put on my other hat now, which is House Design Agency. So I've been a designer for 40 years.
Yeah.
I've done over 600 different brands. And so in the travels, in the new circles, I guess, I got to meet Anne about 4 or 5 years ago, and she had some great opinions about what we were doing. It's kind of we're in a real similar path as Time Slips, only different. When she created Time Slips based on her amazing TED Talk that I watched, I recall she talked about trying different things, and one day in a senior community, she just tore out an ad with the Marlboro Man and held it up in the room and said, "What's his name?" And people started, what does he do? What is, where does he live? And they started creating stories, and that was, from what I understand, that's my Cliff Notes, Joe Notes of what Ann did. So Fotavia is kind of like that. We take iconic imagery, we tell the backstory, we have large white type on screen, we have a voiceover. So it's trying to be as inclusive as possible. We tell the story of what was going on there, and then we tell a story of what was going on maybe in history at that time, and we end with a quote, a famous quote from the person featured, or maybe the photographer. So that's pretty simple. So I'll jump back to House Design. So Joe's wearing both hats, and he's watching the news, and he reads about something called the EMC2 project, which would have to do with expanding memory cafes, enhancing meaningful connection. And I'm reading, and here Anne had published this thing, and I'm reading through it, and they're trying to create a brand and trying to unify all the memory cafes around the world. Basically, I think there's 900 now. In fact, Wisconsin has, I think, 132 of them. Woo, we're leading. Oregon's pretty good. Can't remember how many are there, but there's 900, and they want to increase it to 9,000 in a very short time. I'll say 5 years, but I'm not exactly sure on that. But there's no standards. There's kind of no way to create the same experience throughout all of them. So they've written a grant, and they pulled together an amazing team. Sammy Goodrich is part of the Time Slips team, and of course, Beth Salzberg, I'm sorry, and the amazing Susan McFadden, who has kind of written the book on standards for cafes. So they are looking for some branding help. So I volunteered, and I said that between House Design and Fotavia, we'll support you. So we've been engaged. We started the process, or they were excited. I jumped in. We started about a month and a half ago. I have to say that it was called Memory Cafe America. I think I can say that it's going to be called Memory Cafe Alliance now. And we'll be releasing the brand probably, or some initial things, maybe within the next month and a half or so. So very excited to be part of this group. I mean, memory cafes come onto our radar a few years ago, and then seeing Ann's name attached to it and seeing what they're doing. Oh, and then also Mods Award, I think, and the Bader Philanthropies here in Milwaukee were involved. And those are two organizations that I've talked to along the way. So it was kind of a no-brainer to say, Joe, we need to be involved with this. So I'm excited. I'd like to show you something, but I'm not authorized to do that. But Atlanta is getting a rock star. Teaser. So good.
Joe, did you call Roger?
Well, I did. I said, we're doing a show, and it wouldn't be a show without him. So let's see.
And he's got his cap on.
Okay, I got to thank Scott for saying get down there. It took me this long, but I heard snippets, and I was on and off, and I heard Joe start talking about Fotavia. I've heard him give his backstory, and he never has enough time, but you did it, Joe. And Atlanta, and I heard the everything about Ann Bastings is moving forward. Did you get into the social prescription that she's involved with? Oh, I love this. She's involved in helping socially prescribing non-pharmaceutical interventions to battle dementia, as well as social isolation and loneliness. And it comes from the UK. Their system of medicine is public. They want to do things that help everybody. And they came up with an idea a decade or more ago that was adopted by the national system that before you get a prescription that changes the chemicals in your brain or your body, we want you to first socially prescribe to your patient that they go visit people, go play golf, go watch golf if you're too old to play, to benefit you by getting you connected with other people, break isolation, get involved with whatever your old self did to give you an autobiographical history and a feeling like I am looking forward to something that I used to do in a way that is prescribed to make you healthier. And it works. And in Atlanta, she introduced Joe and me to a brilliant thinker who has the art pharmacy. How's that for a chemistry of the brain that is changed by either looking or doing art? We call it the viewer or the doer. Both of them benefit. So, Joe, if you didn't hit on that, I did want to add that. But Christine, thanks for having things like this that we can just chat. And what I did miss was when Joe went to the Packers. And I think I heard Scott say, "Hey, this isn't supposed to be football." You know what I thought? As I didn't hear the three things or something about the three games, but I thought Christine and Scott have come up with a format that is unique among all of the blizzard of podcasters, and that is surprise, uncertainty, and mental structure. You never know, even though you're the host and can control, what you've done is to invite people to come in and play in your sandbox. And as soon as the sandbox has been created, you shake it so it's all flat when you start, but you record it so you see what type of little castles or moats or Packer emblems were put in there. So I want to spend the hour, please, talking about the merger of the Big Ten. So now, so now.
Wait.
So
hold on, Roger. Hold on.
No, there was two.
No, wait. What's Tim? I gotta find out. Do you need to be somewhere at the? I mean, do you need to take off?
I don't have a hard stop, but I do got to get going before the hour's up.
before how about before this half hour's up? Because we got like 8 minutes left in this half hour.
Yeah, no, I can do that easily.
Oh, good, because I don't care now about people cross the line. So yeah, Roger, you didn't know that I was going to be blunt and get right in your face. We're going to talk about Vicky Schmal. Don't let me forget to talk about Vicky Schmal.
Yes.
Okay. So Tim, you came on. You had no idea who I was. I was barely aware of Tim Son and his perspectives on cancer through my husband, through other guys a couple years back. So since this is the 100th episode, I started 2022 on August 24th. I woke up one morning in July. We had just moved into this apartment.
That was my birthday.
You're kidding!
And my wife's birthday, but that's a whole nother couple.
That's a whole nother thing. And I said, I know what I'm going to do in July. So I just said, Tim McDonald, he put into, I can almost verbatim this. I'll just be listening today. I think I was watching an episode by Tim Son. I'll just be watching today. I'm a little worn out from infusions, treatments. And for some reason I thought, well, I'm learning this whole LinkedIn thing. I'll just ask him if he would be willing to come on and talk about aging. And what you said was, I don't think about aging as much as I think about living. So catch these guys up. First episode, who knew? A friend named Charla, a friend named Miriam came in, a guy who had done a little bit of business with my husband named Maxwell. He came in. A guy with a blog, whatever, Dawn Auction came in, and there was Tim. And I'm just like, tell me about it. And I knew that you were getting infusions, but I had no idea what you were going to bring up. And it was fascinating. Well, I was educated, but it was also fascinating that you were turning it into, I guess, an educational experience or an opportunity for other people to know what you were pursuing. So go for it.
Well, I'll just take off on that. But before I jump into that, Roger, when you were talking about nothing, like everything can happen unplanned and unexpected here. Mm-hmm. I'm a community builder by profession, and one of the things that another organization that I know for community builders is called the Community Roundtable. I have a T-shirt from them that says "Control is for amateurs." So I just needed to say that because of what you said earlier, and I thought you'd all appreciate that. And I think that's exactly what we're all experiencing. Most of us won't admit it, but I think we all are. We all like to be in control, but really the fact of the matter is we have really no control over too much of anything these days. But I am a stage 4 colorectal cancer survivor, and when I was on that show, Christine, and congratulations on this being 100, that is absolutely amazing. I was doing chemotherapy every 2 weeks, and so it was probably right when after I had my infusion, which for 2.5 years I did that, and it's like for 2 years I was on one that was like, for the 3 days, like the infusion day and the couple days after, were I didn't want to do too much of anything. And then I would feel okay. Now, the first 6 months I was on a really aggressive chemo with really aggressive side effects. And it was basically like 11 or 12 or 13 days, I felt like absolute shit. And then for 1 or 2 days, I felt okay, and then did it all over again. But that being said, it got me to a point where I learned about, it was shrinking my tumors enough where I thought about what other possibilities are there, because I don't want to do this the rest of my life. And I learned about a living donor liver transplant for colorectal cancer patients. And as I became a candidate for that, I really identified the fact that the system, well, we don't have a system in the US for living donors. We have it for deceased donors. We don't have it for living donors. And so, but in the colorectal cancer space, since it's only been done about 5 or 6 years here in the US, one of the things is that every person that's pursuing is responsible for finding their own donor. And I kept thinking, well, if all these people are calling for Mary or Joe or whoever, and they're not a match for that person, maybe they would be a match for somebody else and be willing to donate. Now, I know not everybody's going to donate, because they're not like, some people are doing it because they're a brother or a cousin or something like that. And they're only doing it because it's that person that they're related to. But there's a lot of other people that are willing to do it for anybody. And so I thought, why don't I try and collect these people, these potential donors, and try and help match them with other people searching for living donors. And that's how it started. It's a site called Share My Liver. And I was doing this while I was searching for my own donor. As of May of last year, I ended up getting a liver transplant. I'm officially no evidence of disease now. And it's been 14 months that I've been no evidence of disease. But I'm on like anti-rejection medications for the rest of my life and all that. But right after my transplant, I started realizing something, that if I really wanted to turn this into Share My Liver into something, being a matching service, it's going to involve a lot of red tape and a lot of bureaucracy, because it's going to have to run through our government. And I don't care which political side of the aisle you're on. I'm talking about government in general. Doesn't matter. Politics aside, it's the government that takes things and screws things up and makes it way more difficult that normal people can't understand half of what they're talking about. So I didn't want to deal with that, because that's not the way I like to live my life. And so I got away from that, but moved more into the realm of becoming the one-stop place where people can come to get resources and knowledge about a living donor, whether you have colorectal cancer or not. If you're pursuing a liver transplant and you need a living donor, we are going to help you. We still try and help connect you with people, but not as our main mission. We create awareness for people that they can become living donors for a liver transplant. And we also ultimately turned it into a nonprofit so we could actually bring money to the forefront and help people who are pursuing a liver transplant or may not pursue a liver transplant because they can't afford it. Because generally, it's a pretty expensive proposition. Even if your insurance covers it, you have to live within an hour of the transplant center. And there's only about, as of right now, at least for colorectal cancer patients, only about 28 of those in the US right now. And so it's one of those things where it's a very expensive proposition to pursue. It's a very emotional draining process because you're on an emotional roller coaster of thinking you have a donor, then that doesn't work out. Then who else is going to be my donor? Is the cancer going to come back before I get a donor? And all these questions. And so we want to be there to help guide people from the time they're first looking at it all the way through after they've had their transplant and the issues that come up. Because, you know, talk about aging. I mean, you know, I'm 56 and I had no issues, no health issues outside of the cancer before I got my cancer. Since my transplant, now I have high blood pressure, I have high cholesterol, I have arthritis, I have gout flare-ups in my toes. So you want to talk about, you know, aging like within a year. I can talk about that all day long because I have learned what aging is like in a 12-month period, unlike most other people can.
Russ, did you come in at just the right moment? Hey, do you know Tim McDonald? He knows Tim Son.
We know each other online. I know that.
Definitely. Hey, Tim, how you doing?
Good. How you doing, Russ?
Good.
I'm quickly going to butt in once again to say that Dan Vanderwerf, Dan, help me. I think you're in the Netherlands, and he does the Q strip for he's Mr. like
Night Sweat. He's Mr. Night Sweats.
Night Sweats. Yes, I'm like going, women, we sweat.
And that's not Nathaniel Radcliffe or whatever his name is in the Night Sweats. It's
is that a thing?
And I will say that was one of my symptoms that I didn't attribute to having cancer. I had night sweats. That was one of my symptoms.
You ended up with female hot flashes. Thank you. Thank you, treatments. Thank you for putting you through a bunch of other stuff. Dr. New has been championing everybody here too and saying hi to everyone. Roger jumped in. I know I sent him the link, but Joe said, "Did you invite Roger?" Like 10 minutes before I said, "Yeah, but it was so last minute." You guys, I'm so emotional. And this is so amazing, Tim, that you were like, what good can I do for maybe someone else? Because I'm going through all of this personally, me, every day, every night. Somebody else is going through it. Maybe someone can understand. I can be a liver donor. I can actually I can start the journey. You know, it's like, hey, you have cancer. And by the way, we can save your life if you can find someone who's willing to go through 12 weeks of recovery from a major surgery. And it's like, well, now that you've hit me on both sides, that I'm supposed to become this expert on how to find people, and only 28 places in the US. That's like half, like one per every 2 states, and you have to live 1 hour away.
The amount that existed 2 years ago.
Wow. Oh.
So, and I was one of the first 50 people to get a liver transplant in the US. When I started looking, there was less than 20 people that got a liver transplant. So it is increasingly coming more mainstream or accepted as a possible treatment option for colorectal cancer patients. Where when I first started looking, my oncologist at a top cancer center here in Tampa said that was outside the box. He didn't know anybody other than the Cleveland Clinic in Cleveland that was doing that. So I've educated my cancer center and my oncologist on liver transplants.
Christine, I want to connect with Tim. Tim, I had never heard about you. I need to volunteer to figure out what you've done and where you're going, and get the brain science benefits of the joy of you doing that. And it's now measurable in multiple ways, because I'm seeing a number of connections between the memory cafe that Ann Bastings came up or helped out with one man from Portland who said memory cafes are really good, but we need to organize it and get a directory and get people aware of what's in their geographic area. And the other is that when you've got someone who says, I want to donate to my cousin, and they say, oh, that's really, but you can't, that person's already taken a step toward the benefits of sharing your life with someone else. So the idea that it's a living group that's helping a living person, once the match is made, and I've already said, I'm disappointed I can't donate to my relative, they've taken the step. They've got momentum that gives their brains joy, but it was detoured to your group to say, now we've got a map. We can see, are you still interested? Why you've got the momentum. So I'm all in. So I'll connect with you.
I would love that. Thank you so much, Roger. And actually my donor, to your point, I think this proves it. She actually tried to donate to somebody at University of Pittsburgh like 3 years, right before the pandemic. And she is, she's an alcoholic. And I know that doesn't make sense for your liver that you can donate, but she went there and she fell off the wagon right before she went in for her screening at Pittsburgh. And they said, oh, you got alcohol in your system. And she goes, oh yeah, I had a couple of drinks. And they're like, when can I come back? And they're like, oh no, you come back in 6 months and we'll see. Well, then the pandemic hit and she couldn't go back. Well, she's up in Rochester. So, and they weren't accepting people unless if it was like you knew the person, right? Like that you could donate to the person. But she always wanted to be a liver donor. And she saw somebody else up there, another colorectal cancer patient who I know, who lives up there, posted something on Facebook. She saw one of his friends share it, called for him, wasn't a match, and the hospital actually asked, the first time this has ever happened in the state of New York and possibly in the country, would you be willing to donate to somebody else in a similar situation? And she said yes.
Wow.
Because she had that going, she had that in her mind, like you're saying, that I want to do this. I want to feel good about myself by giving this to somebody else and helping them live. And
it also was the
3 years.
motivation for her to stay sober.
Yes.
Because I want to get, and think of joy. That's what you get when you have something you're looking forward to and you get a plan and you accomplish it. That's a flood of dopamine, oxytocin, perhaps, as well as serotonin. And if those little smidgens come up to a flood because you have accomplished something, you climbed your own Mount Everest, and you shared something that only living people can do, that's a story worth looking into, because that motivated her because of that first of its kind match to a stranger. But the stranger will also get that joy that this was somebody who was not selfish, but was sharing life.
Well, I'm sure we can talk about this, afterwards, Roger. I look forward to connecting with you on this. It's going to be amazing, I'm sure. Because I got to tell you, my feeling is I've already told my transplant surgeon, I know this is not normal, but as a recipient, I want to become the first donor. And he said I probably would never be able to do your liver. He goes, but we could do one of your kidneys. Yeah. So after 2 years, I might be able to.
If you do that, I want to be involved in a clinical trial to take your pre-baseline and compare your health, especially your immune system. When you do that, accomplish that, and get other people to say, I can do that too. It's the motivation of get those donors on the map. Get them there thinking, I hope somebody needs one because I'm ready to share one of mine.
Oh my goodness.
Wow.
You know what it's like to receive life, Tim. Oh, and get your life back. Like,
good.
What am I going to do on this week when I'm not crashed for 3 solid days and trying to recover so that I can go back and do it again? Oh my goodness. Roger is just a few miles from you. He lives in Jefferson. You live in Salem, part of Salem. Dan's giving out a heart right now. Oh my goodness. Did I miss anyone else? Okay. Russ. So Tim, you were on my very first live episode. But before that, I needed to get used to the world that my husband had already lived in for almost 10 years. And that was recording himself, recording other people, getting people to chat with him online, etc. I made him shy, so he disappeared. Or he's trying to help somebody get into the show. So before that, I had to call upon people who didn't seem scary and say, I am going to interview you. So I'm sitting there, okay, please tell me something else you have done. And so I tried to be really cool and calm about it and be an interviewer for the first time. I think shutdowns, etc., made people either say, I'm never going to be on a camera and microphone ever again, or, hey, I feel like Barbara Walters or Walter Cronkite or something like that. We just went to see Fly Me to the Moon. So we saw lots of footage. Speaking of Joe, just all that stuff that comes back to you. We were in the tiniest theater watching Walter Cronkite, watching people play the parts of real people. And then they put in this fun backstory with Scarlett Johansson and that guy, famous hunky guy, well, whoever he was. Anyway, so Channing Tatum. Okay. So Russ said Russ was not scary. And so he let me interview him. And Russ, your health was different back then.
Yes, it was. That was pre-cancer, right?
Yes, that was before. That was when I was trying to get up the courage to go live. So that would have been early 2022.
So I actually found the cancer in July of 2022, and right after my mama passed away. And so that was kind of a whirlwind going from my mama's Alzheimer's passing, speaking of aging, and then finding that spot on the bottom of my foot that started the whole journey. Yeah. So, it was one thing that Tim was saying. Tim, you are, wow, what a blessing you are, and what a great mindset. I believe you spoke last year at Perspectives on Cancer via video, right? Because you couldn't come. And so I didn't get to meet you in person. Hopefully you can make it this year to New York, because I'll be there speaking actually, and be there. But yeah, it definitely, as far as aging goes and as far as things happening, cancer is a lifelong journey. And although I can say, praise God, the cancer is gone, that they got all of the cancer, I have so many wonderful gifts that came along with that, like diabetes, like digestive issues. I had eye surgery. I'm about to get a cochlear implant. It's been one thing after the other because of the gifts that cancer brings along with the treatment. But, I just counted a blessing every day. I counted a blessing that God made it so that I can live with the things that I have. They may be challenging. I may have to learn a new life rhythm, and I may feel a little bit older because of all the things. Like when I go, but it has definitely been a path that's given me the opportunity to encourage people, inspire people, which is what I'm all about. And I just love the fact that, like Tim was talking about, you can do things for others. And because you've been through it, you're more relevant and people understand because you understand what's going on. So it's been just a really, real blessing to be able to do those things. And and I just keep moving on every day. Glad to be here. And I brought my hat.
I'm going to butt in for a moment because, Russ, you're here on episode 100. And your willingness to come on and record with Christine, with my wife, helped encourage her to get to episode 100. You have a number of shows. Marketing with Russ. You've got Russ Reels. Of course, we do a couple of shows together. But your journey of video started with your mother. Your first videos were, and I'm opening it up for you to say.
Hashtag happy moments with mama. And, it was interesting because I was blessed to have a mama who is the happiest person ever alive on this planet. And all through her Alzheimer's journey, she kept that joy. And so in the beginning, when she was in her memory care, but still could have a conversation, we recorded some podcasts because of the nudging of my good friend D. Scott Smith. And we did some happy moments with mama. And then I started taking videos of that. And that has gone on to inspire people around the world to this day, which is a blessing. And that's how it all started. And now I live stream 6 times a week. And 3 of those are with Scott. And so I'm blessed to have him as a co-host who keeps me in line. And so, yeah, a lot of fun.
And yet your dog and cat are more popular than you are.
The dog and cat are way more popular on YouTube Shorts. I'm telling you, if you want to get your message across and you want people to watch us, hold your dog next to you while you say what you want to say. I had one short like 3 days ago, one short that got 6,000 views, but it got 111 new subscribers off of that one video with my dog. And I didn't really do anything different. It was a 15-second little snippet of something positive, and it just, I don't know, animals attract people.
Oh, Tim, is it sharemyliver.org? Sharemyliver.org. So definitely Russ, I mean, you're already connected. He can tell you what platforms. Scott can give you some ideas. And I don't know, a dolphin, you're in Florida, an alligator. Ooh, I bet you could get like a baby alligator or something. It's like if cancer is biting you in the butt, because we know what's on the back of Tim's shirt. He showed us that earlier. If cancer is biting you in the butt, that's right. Let them know who's boss.
Who's in charge? Yeah. I want to say one thing, and that is, no matter what you're going through in life, and I know Tim feels this way, and probably all of you, no matter what you're going through, you can keep the joy of the Lord. You can keep a positive perspective, not meaning that you're always happy, but you can keep a positive perspective through it all. And I encourage everybody, enjoy your life, do things. When I turned 60 years young last month, my beautiful wife and family took me off to, there it is, Hawaii, Kona, Hawaii. And yes, we love Hawaii, but it was just a great little getaway with my entire family, my wife, my son, daughter, and my daughter-in-law. They all took me there, and it was a great time. So I just want to encourage everybody, you don't have to sit around as you're aging. As you're aging, enjoy your life, no matter what's happening.
There's another little thing, just me. As I'm going through the emotions, Roger, I'm moving 2,000 miles away.
No.
Yes, change. It's good.
Are you?
It's
taking
good.
Scott
Change is
with you?
good. I'm not going to leave him here for you.
Oh, good,
yes,
good.
yes.
I'm glad you got that question answered. I've been wondering. Thank you for asking.
And we did it. We have a recording of that, Scott.
Yes.
Oh, yes.
You're moving where?
We're taking each other with us. We are moving to the middle of the bottom of the U.S. We are moving to Waco, Texas. Not something we had planned. Not something we thought we were going to do. It was within the same week we both were looking at each other. That's another story.
I always thought that was wacko.
I know. See, it's okay. Oregon has all its stuff. We're used to, people saying, is that where Tanya Harding's from? Ooh, we've heard about Antelope, Oregon. Just all the stuff that comes our way, and the flack, and we're ready. We're ready. That's nothing new. I only invited men to come to my 100th episode. It's because I was a little ticked off. For the umptieth time, I had seen a posting or an advertisement or seen someone else's talk thing and with someone saying, well, it's mostly women who care when everything hits the fan and stuff is difficult. It's usually the women who step forward and say, you know what, this dementia, this need, this stroke, this whatever, it's the women. And I'm just going, stop it. Individuals are individuals, and some people can't handle some stuff. There are going to be some people who will always say no to something, or I can't deal with that. Or in different eras of their life, they will. Tim may have never thought of donating a part of his body, going through something, until he realized what it meant to have someone. Who is that? Oh, it's Joe. Why did I ask?
That was replacement,
like
Joe.
Men who care so much. They go and do videos with their mama when she's in a place where a lot of people go, shh, we don't talk about that. Mm-hmm. And here's Roger, who's been saying, hey, say it loud, say it proud. Let's go and be with those people, because he used to have one of those jobs that, I don't know. I guess I would say that it comes along with it an instant respect or an instant dislike. He used to be a lawyer, an attorney.
He's a recovering attorney. Say it
exactly right.
Right. And what saved him? What saved the inner Roger was going on, driving the bus with a bunch of people in their later life and understanding that, wait a minute, there's life here, and it is different. It's different, reaching into a mind that is getting more nuanced by whatever is going on, mild cognitive impairment or major frontotemporal or whatever. It's a different journey. And he's like, you know what? I've handled tough stuff. I see a reason to figure this stuff. The guy has spoken at the Smithsonian because he saw something, was able to put a voice to it in a different way. And thank you, Roger. I realized the other day that other people say, oh, that person walks on water. This person can do no wrong, works miracles. They seem to handle a situation with expertise that no one knew that was there. They just walk on water. There's going to be a bunch of Olympians, a bunch of athletes that people are going to think, oh, they just walk on water. It just seems like they are effortless. And I stomp in mud puddles. I make a mess. I'm not doing my show right. I don't do it like other people. And a gentleman said a few weeks ago, just sent a little message and said, well, I've never been in a show like that before. I feel refreshed. And I was like, yay, because I think most of the time they have to do their spiel. They have to, answer the tough questions or, have the right statistics or prove that their product is going to work or something. And I'm like, yay, I'm glad this is a bit of mud splashing up on others, a little bit of giggling. I needed it because this is so emotional. This book that my daughter gave me for Mother's Day had a prompt that says, look through some photos. Nostalgia is good. Being nostalgic boosts your happiness. And I thought, well, that's exactly what I'm doing because I am not dragging it all 2,000 miles. I'm not going to do it.
So just to give you an idea of what you did, She goes, I'm not taking my yearbooks with me. So she pulled out junior high, high school, college, and then she cut the pictures where the pages where she was in it, threw the rest away, and said, "This is all that's really important. I don't need all that other weight."
She's taking her greatest hits with her.
The greatest hits. I love that, Roger. Hey, and one of the great things about being the producer for my wife's show is I can take control for a moment. And Tim, Roger, Russ, Joe, you guys are all inspirational, but I just want to bring it back to college football for a moment, because that's what we're really here for. And I saw this picture come up. I saw this picture come up this morning. The University of Oregon's athletic department put this giant inflatable duck on the White River. Yeah. And this is probably like a single-use thing. So all those alumni of University of Oregon, I just want you to know where your money is going.
Oh, I love
because we are Oregon State University Beaver fans, but we live in the state with the Ducks, and we often refer to the Ducks as the Paris Hilton of college football. Right? They dress nicely. Ooh. Famous for no good reason, and have a rich daddy. All right, so I'm done. I'm done.
You might be getting in trouble.
Jumping the show for a moment. So back to our host, Christine A. Smith, aging enthusiast, agingbetternetwork.com. Congratulations again on episode 100.
100. Very good.
Perfect segue. I was going to end the show. You've got 4 minutes. What is it like being the hubby / producer of an aging enthusiast? And I always say I'm a geropreneur, which somebody got mad about one time. They thought it meant that I was taking advantage of people in their aging by, selling them snake oil or something. I'm like, where did that come from? I'm like, hey, I'm the Gero, and I have decided to do something past 60. At this point, I'm 64, past 60, for other people my age, or people who care about people my age and beyond. So if you've invented something that's going to help people who are challenged by something that's typically associated with aging, and you yourself are also kind of at the usual point. So anyway,
I'll throw
what's
something
it like,
out.
hun?
I'll throw something out. So normally this is.
Yes, normally he is behind the scenes, and the only reason you know that he exists. Yeah.
And but there was research that came out probably 10, 12 years ago, and it was titled, "What Kind of Genius Are You?" And here's what the research pointed out, and I just thought this was fascinating, that there are some geniuses, right, who have come up with fantastic theories and products and processes and understandings of the world around us when they're young, when they're in their teens or 20s, right? And generally speaking, when they did the research, that was it. That was it. They came, 24 years old, writing their PhD thing. They came up with this great concept, and that was it. They were done. They never really came up with anything great after that. But the people who came up with similar concepts, earth-changing, perspective-changing, human course of history changing, and they were older, tended to come up with more and more and more, right? So it wasn't just a one-hit wonder. And so when you look and you say, well, I'm 50, I'm 60, I haven't really, man, they're unlock that gate and let the flood come out, because there is so much there. And this is research based. This is not conjecture saying that as you get older, you have more to offer. As you get older, you have more to offer. Research proves it.
And I want to give a scientific shout out to you because it's called A Mature Mind from 50 On. Gene Cohn wrote the book 20 years ago and proved with help from science that's solid that your brain physically changes and you are better after it at most things cognitively. If you're not 50, what are you called? Immature. It's not older or younger. And so when I do science, I have to be serious. And when I'm serious, I can get the point across. But when you can surprise someone and have fun, you reset their brain. And that's what your show has done, Scott and Christine. Having surprise is an element that these two pioneers of inspiring that I met today. Yeah, Russ has the same feeling. And that's where I'm really taken by both of what you two have done. Aging has images of failure until the revolution of actually studying their brains. Now, the image of an aging person is age.
Uh-oh.
We lost your audio.
We lost Roger.
But look at him. He's he's undaunted.
Coming back.
I had a phone call. Your images of survivors. And the image needs to be out there so they see you. You were through that. And both of you said the same thing I never thought of. We get gifts that are bad this, bad that, high blood pressure. Call those organ recitals. You get the gift of giving an organ recital. You're warning them in not a fun way, but in a serious way. But you're playing with the fact that you are giving them an organ recital. So see if you can work with that. I'm going to be in touch with both of you.
Oh, fantastic. I'm going to leave you. It is 10 a.m. I'm going to leave you with something that a gentleman who comes to the global tea break, I don't know if he's in the U.S. or if he's in Europe or elsewhere. I've seen him a few times. It's a group that my husband co-facilitates with a guy in Ireland, Alan Hennessy. One of the attendees sent me a message. I didn't see it until the thing was over because there's lots of messages from the 25 people that show up. And he said, when he saw what I do, that I have a resource for better aging, care, longevity, Ted Hollander asked, how should we avoid losing the wisdom in the aging population? So I'm leaving you with that, something to solve before we are together again. Roger, I'm going to go listen to Vicki Schmal up in the Portland area, really close to where she lives. And Janice Shokrian is also going to be there. So we're going to sit in the audience and champion her. Something that got leaked out into LinkedIn, and we're going to go see that. I am so grateful. I'll put this on because I did switch my there we go. I did switch my LinkedIn photo for one that my daughter took of me across the table at Gilgamesh, a restaurant on Mother's Day weekend. And she made it look all, blurry in the background or whatever. And I was doing something, my pinky was extended and all this. And I went, there we go. I think other people should upgrade because sometimes I don't know who just came on my screen because they've got something from 25 years ago on their LinkedIn. They love that picture. And so I just I'm so glad that you changed your picture. I'm not going to tell someone they have to, but
I want to wrap it. I want to wrap
so
it.
Grateful.
Can I wrap? Scott.
Oh, yes. Do a thing.
I can almost bring it full circle, but I can't. Maybe I'll get everybody in here. But Scott, thank you for bringing that up. I happen to live in a state and I'm a creative guy, and I almost went back to school for architecture. And I live in a state where a guy kind of didn't become famous until he was in his 90s. Wow. His name is Frank Lloyd Wright. And he did some of his best work. That's documented that when he was 90. It's incredible stuff. So what you said is true. And Roger, I love you. You know that. And yes, I do have a Packer hat on again. But talk about inventing things and doing it. I've been blessed. I did some work for a Green Bay Packer quarterback in the 90s. And then I invented some chocolate along the way. Then I did something else. And then I got to be involved with Fotavia. So it's every couple of years. This hat's signed by a guy named Leroy Butler, who invented the Lambeau leap. So talk about leaps of faith. I put in the chat that my dad had 3 to 5 years in the 80s. He found out that he had to live. He fired his doctor and he lived 35 more years. So God bless you guys. Wow. Keep doing what you're doing. It's amazing. It's amazing. And keep.
Yeah, it is.
I'm inspired listening to you all. So, Christine, 100. Here's to 1,000 more.
Sure, why not?
Hubby producer Scott, you're killing it. And I hope we can work with you and produce some show too. So thanks for inviting the boys club today, Christine. I hope we made you
men
proud.
Who care.
Couldn't hang out with you, Joe.
And
have a great move. You guys are doing good stuff. So maybe a road trip show would be good too. I don't know.
Oh, this revved me up. I can start going through photos again. Whoo. Thank you so much. Frank Lloyd Wright taught a woman how to do some things. She was going to create a building in Europe, but the war kept her in the U.S. Years later, she decided, I'm going to do the same thing, and I'm going to do it in Sedona, Arizona. Scott and I were there in Arizona 2 weeks ago because apparently we like hot weather. And we went to the Chapel of the Cross. It's the one that's actually built into the red rock.
A student of Frank Lloyd Wright. Yes. Speaking of which.
A student of, yes. People there were speaking all different languages. It's just a tiny, tiny little place.
Christine, you're going to wind up here. Can I play a grand opening? Can I play a grand opening video to end up for everybody?
Finish us with that. Finish us. Thank you. Thank you, Roger, Tim.
To when she started out and we filmed this little video.
Support live music too. That's the last thing I have to say.
Here we go. All right. Enjoy this little outro of Christine.
Welcome to the grand opening of the Aging Better Network. I'm so glad that you accepted this invitation. I'm stocking the shelves all February long, and I would love your feedback on how to organize and categorize and the sort of resources you would like to see. There's podcasts and there's websites and there's even retirement Rolodex full of information that you never know you need to know until you really need to know it. So come on in. There's videos and there's newsletters, and I'm just glad you're here. There we go. Okay, drum roll, please. Here we go. Okay, we're almost ready. And the Aging Better Network is open. Aging Better Network. Ah, I did it. All right, come on in. Oh, I'll put those down. Thank you so much for coming. Visit everything. Oh, and come back again throughout the month. I'll be stocking these shelves every day through the month of February. Thank you so much. Woo! Welcome. Where did this come from?